and have been my entire career of the United States Secret Service. I've worked with them very closely. When I was a KBI agent, it was not uncommon for me to be assigned to presidential details, vice presidential details, especially when there's elections. So people who's running for office that qualify for some sort of protection. I served in those capacities before and very familiar. I protected Margaret Thatcher when she came and visited into Kansas at one time. So I'm familiar with this. It was an absolute failure, operational failure, to include when the initial threat assessment was done. Not only the threat assessment at the site, but the threat assessment on former President Trump. You know, he has a significant threat awareness associated with him personally because people hate him and they want to see him die. And so just the standing, he's not just a former president who, by the way, gets Secret Service protection. Most former presidents get a scaled down version of what the current president gets. But President Trump is not a scaled down version of being a former president. Number one, he has a high threat level. Number two, he's currently running for president on the Republican ticket. So that means you would have to escalate up his Secret Service. So they were not giving him the same Secret Service as an acting president, which he should have gotten because he was running for president in the other party and he was president before. So he wasn't getting any of the support, none of the air operations, none of the drone operations, none of the additional manpower operations. And they failed to recognize that weeks before they showed up, because a week before they even get on the ground in Pennsylvania, they have it completely worked out on what should happen, where should people be assigned to, what areas should be assigned to, and communication and command and control. The other one was a communication failure because people on the ground, the public saw what was going on. They relayed it to law enforcement. Law enforcement didn't have the capability to relay it to the tactical command, the TOC center. And as a result, they didn't get the information and weren't able to act. There should have been more sniper details. They only had 2. That never occurs. So it should be much more than that. It was a complete failure. And you know what? I called for the resignation of the Secret Service, the director, the night that it happened. And the reason I said that is because she at that time didn't even go to Pennsylvania and have boots on the ground to understand what occurred. And most importantly, be with her men and women who just survived a shooting. So yes, they were not trained. When you have other agencies come in to help, if they haven't been trained like I was, because I went through Secret Service training, not to the detail of a full Secret Service agent, but I had gone to their training before on how to do these things. And you cannot watch a video and be on a close detail. That's impossible for it to happen. And it hurts my heart because the Secret Service is a fine organization that now has turned into another federal law enforcement agency that is failing. And we have a huge problem with our federal agencies now not being good caliber people.
Yeah, I mean, this is really, really dangerous. I mean, it feels to me that we're stacking, or at least the left is stacking, a lot of these people in these agencies with, people that they like, people that'll do their bidding, rather than the people that are qualified. Real quick, Doc, I want to play this video clip for you. This is number 6, Gabe. I want you to hear what Alexa had to say, Amazon's Alexa, what Alexa had to say about the assassination attempt of former President Trump. Let's roll that video clip number 6, por favor, Gabe.
Alexa, was Donald Trump really shot?
No, Donald Trump was not really shot. There were 2 attempted assassinations of Donald Trump, one in 2016 and another in 2024. Both times, the assailant was stopped and arrested by security forces. These events are widely reported in the news.
Doc, that's what's happening with the left, using obviously social media, using Alexa. This is absolutely insane. This is scary. We're living in scary times. Quick response to that, and then I want to move on to the crime that we saw at the Aurora, Colorado apartments.
Well, AI and ChatGPT and those kinds of artificial intelligence that we're getting from only goes to show you that it's as good as the data that goes into their systems. And if the data is spurious that goes into the systems, they're going to put out spurious information. So that means it was done on purpose because there was spurious information, not real information, not true information that was put into the data. You can use these systems correctly, but you have to be the one in charge and telling the system what to do and what the expectations are. And then you have to vet them when you have them. So there's in research, for instance, if I ever use that, I have to tell the system what exactly I'm looking for. And I say, you have to source any information so I can check it and vet it and make sure. If you don't do that, then you're going to get this kind of stuff. So that's what I want to warn people that if you just use AI and other information like this and just ask a question, you don't know what you're going to get, and you don't know if it's truthful or not, because it's based on information coming into it, not the ability. It doesn't have the ability to just go out and search anything at any given time. It's what's been given and what authorities have been given to it for it to go out and search. I'm not an expert in this field, but that's the way I have found to be true.
Yeah, and if you have morally bankrupt people that are in charge of these things, it can be very dangerous. I'm sure everyone has seen the video. We only have a couple of minutes left in this segment, but I'm sure everyone will skip past that, have seen the video of the Aurora, Colorado apartments, and you see Venezuelan gangs literally with carrying firearms. If I recall correctly, in the original video, a couple of the gentlemen had pistols. Another guy had a long rifle, a sporting rifle, what looked like maybe an AK or an AR-15. I don't remember not seeing it initially. But this is a problem that has occurred with 2 apartment complexes in Aurora, Colorado. I just want to get your initial take on that. I read a column on this, and I want to ask you some questions on based upon some of the things that I've read, and we've got more video. But just give us your take initially, a minute and a half. Migrant crime, how serious is it in the United States of America, even expanding beyond Colorado, and then Colorado specifically as well?
It's the most serious criminal justice issue in the history of the United States.
Wow.
That has ever occurred. That's how significant it is. We have, to some estimates, at least 12 million illegal aliens into the country right now. Most people think it's actually higher, because how do you really know? There's so many unknown gotaways. So let's say it could be 15 or 20 million people that are in this country illegally now. Well, let's just be conservative in our estimate. So if we have 12 million illegal aliens, and let's say 5% have violent criminal histories, just 5%, that's 600,000 people in the United States who have violent criminal histories. And we know because of recidivism, because I've said these stats before on your show, recidivism for violent offenders is somewhere around 75% in the first 5 years after getting out of prison. So You recidivate at a high rate if you get back out, if you're a violent offender. Now, specifically in South America, there's been a release of these criminals from prisons.
15 seconds.
In all locations, they've said, you know what, we don't have to watch them. We're going to let them go. In Venezuela specifically, what happened is you had the army was sent in because the gangs overtook the prison, and they basically said,
let's leave it there. We'll be back.
Yeah.
We'll be back with more. Dr. Currie Myers. Hey, Carl Jackson here for Priority Gold. Economists warn that massive tax hikes could devastate your IRA or your 401k account as the stock market braces for impact. With inflation on the rise and global uncertainty looming, it's clear why central banks and savvy Americans are turning to gold. In times like this, Proverbs 21:20 reminds us to preserve what we built. Right now, that wisdom points us towards gold. So if you haven't had your eye on gold, it's time to make it a priority. I'm Carl Jackson again, and I'm urging you to call my friends at Priority Gold to find out how they can help you diversify your savings with physical gold and silver. You can give them a call at 1-800-405-GOLD or visit PriorityGold.com/golden for a free gold info guide. Plus, see if you qualify for free shipping and storage. Act now to get your portfolio working for you while the market is golden. Again, call 1-800-405-GOLD to speak with a gold specialist or visit prioritygold.com/golden to learn more. That's 1-800-405-GOLD. All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Guys, I just got to say, before I get back to my guest, Dr. Currie Myers, this has been one of the most insane political weeks that I think I ever remember. And I didn't think I would be able to say that after the Trump assassination attempt. But I just want to remind you of some of the things that are going on. Literally, you had the shooting at the Georgia high school this week. You had the Aurora, Colorado apartments taken over by gangs, or at least that's been exposed. You had 6 Israeli hostages that were executed by Hamas, and the Biden-Harris administration pressuring Israel for a ceasefire instead of Hamas. Absolutely insane. You had Gold Star families of the Afghanistan surrender, is what I call it, became targets of left-wing attacks online after Kamala Harris attacked Trump for taking pictures for the families, despite the fact that she never gave the families a call or even spoken to any of them. You have a senior aide to New York Governor Kathy Hochul that was charged with spying for China. You have Brazil kicking X out so that their people can't get information. You got the DOJ coming out this week and playing the Russia collusion hoax again. I mean, this has been the craziest political week I think I've seen, Doc, but I want to make sure that we hone in on this issue of these cartels taking over in Colorado, because this is something that's coming to a city near you, and it's starting to, I think this is going to start happening far and wide, as long as municipalities and these big cities or these left-wing or sanctuary cities like Aurora, Colorado exist, Doc. I think we're going to see more and more and more of this. You actually surprised me before we went to the break when you said this is the biggest criminal problem, if I recall correctly, that we've experienced. Correct me if I'm wrong. I forget how you worded it here, Doc, but it was pretty astounding.
Yeah, it's the in my opinion, it's the biggest criminal justice issue that has occurred in the United States ever. If you go back and look in history, I've never seen it the way it is. Of course, I didn't live through those times, but we can read history books. But we have somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 to 15 million illegal aliens that are in this country now. As I said, if we take 5% of those, which is a conservative estimate, have violent criminal histories, that's 600,000 people in this country. We know that the cartels are already in. It's not that they're coming, Carl. They're here. They're embedded in our culture. They're embedded in every one of our cities, not only in urban areas but in suburban areas and moving into rural areas. And we're seeing that Colorado is a manifestation of that, where we're seeing it at all levels. Denver was an open border city, and it crossed into Aurora, which is a pretty conservative town outside of Denver, and they didn't support any of these things. But the spillover has come out of Denver and gone into Aurora, and now they're dealing with the problems of actually armed people. Most of them are Venezuelan gangs right now, as far as we can say, and the intelligence says, that are taking over plots of land. They're taking over motel and hotel complexes, and they're taking over apartment complexes. The reason they're doing that, it's a base of operations in order to be able to do drug trafficking, human trafficking, prostitution. There's all kinds of things that they can do if they have a good base of operation and they've picked out the right areas. And we know these things to be true because we've seen them. There has been video that's been coming out. The lady that, if you've seen the ones where they're coming up the stairs of the apartment complex and banging on doors, they have AK-47s, they have pistols, they have shotguns. That lady on her Ring was able to record. She had somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 hours of video on her Ring. She has since moved out and left Aurora as a result. But this is a major problem. And remember that fentanyl we've seen incredible increases in fentanyl. But let's stop and take a look. If you look at the South American illegal alien problem